Hi everyone, and welcome back to another year of FLINT Talks. This year we'll be doing things a little bit differently to what we've had over the last couple of years. And what I mean by that is that this year, each one of our lead teams from around the country will be contributing episodes every few months, which allows you, our FLINT community, to hear more perspectives from a much wider range of industry professionals. To kick us off for this year, our first episode, the one you're listening to right now, we'll be talking about what FLINT is, what we mean by a future leader, and how being a part of FLINT can actually help move your career forward. If you're watching on video, you'll see that I've got a couple of other people joining me today. So we'll get started with some introductions. Craig, we'll start with you.
Oh, kia ora, Caitlin. Thank you so much. Ko Craig Young Tokawenga. I'm the CEO of Tech Users NZ, or TUANZ as it's known. And Future Leaders Program, which is FLINT, is a program that belongs under our association. So I'm responsible for ensuring that it's delivered.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. I guess over to me. Kia ora, e te whānau, ko Zibby toko ingoa. I'm Zibby. I'm the national lead for our Flint programs. So I support all of our amazing leaders and the lead teams across our locations in Wellington, Christchurch, Auckland, and Queenstown. And I'm also a senior manager at Randstad, where I've worked there for nearly 9 years.
Amazing, Zibby. Thank you. And for those of you that haven't listened to one of our previous episodes, so you haven't heard the sound of my voice before, my name is Caitlin, and this year I've had the privilege of stepping up to be the Auckland lead of the Flint team, Auckland chair of the Flint lead team. I don't know what it's called these days. And so that's also part of the reason why we're adjusting the format of the podcast a little bit so that I don't have quite so much to do on top of chairing that lead team. So, on that note, we'll dive into our very first question for this episode, and that is what is Flint exactly? So, if you are aware of Flint at all, you'll probably know that it stands for Future Leaders in Technology. And as Craig mentioned, we are a part of the Technology Users Association of New Zealand. So, Craig, I might throw it back to you to maybe talk about why Flint was created to begin with, what the goal is, and potentially how that's evolved over the years.
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. Look, Flint is now getting on towards 12 or 13 years as a program or as a group. It was originally created by a really exciting group of graduates. It was four of them from Chorus and what was then Vodafone New Zealand, who felt that there was nowhere for them to meet, network, learn about futures in telecommunications and technology, and wanted to do something. And they came up with this idea of Flint and convinced people that it was a great thing to support. Now, at the time, that was pre me joining TUANZ, and so I was actually at Chorus at the time. And so they convinced myself and one of our HR partners that we should support this idea. And so we launched it actually on the top floor of the Chorus building when we were in town with the Minister of Communications at the time, who was Amy Adams. And so it started there. And then when I started at TUANZ, we worked closely together with the Flint leaders. And then in the end, we decided it was better situated if it was actually, within an organisation like ours. And so the benefit of having a group like this within our framework is that we provide it with sustainability. So we're providing all the admin resources, we're providing it with the logistics, but leaving the leadership to people like yourself and Zibby, who are future leaders yourself. So you know what people need and want. And I think that's one of the real positives about this group is that the amazing people who've come through not just the community, but through leading the mahi. And, they've gone on to all sorts of amazing different things. And maybe we can come back to that later. But, it is really a group of passionate people wanting to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think We were speaking about this at in my speech at the Internet NZ event that we hosted for the TUANZ 40th. Like, I feel like I've grown up through Flint from in a professional capacity. So I arrived in New Zealand 9 years ago, and probably just the year after I arrived, I was encouraged by one of my leaders to attend an event. Um, and it's exactly what Craig said. It's a group of passionate people putting on some really cool events for other people that are a wee bit lost or maybe don't have a network themselves, and being able to connect in and learn some cool things that are happening in the digital space, whilst also creating their own community and being able to develop their leadership skills. So I think what is Flint then? It's just a group of people putting on events, making create great opportunities for the people that attend, and then that grow up with the program as well. So yeah, it's really awesome, and it's awesome to be involved with.
Yeah, it's about building those meaningful connections, right, between people that are similar to you and doing the same sort of things as you are, but also meeting people who you otherwise might not meet, like
Mm.
senior executives or people in other companies, hearing other ideas. It's a way of, expanding your horizon a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to jump in with. I work at a small organization. There's, I think, 12 full-time employees. And, only two of us are in the Flint demographic.
Mm.
As my first proper role in a technology organization, it does mean that I am quite isolated, I guess, from other young professionals that are working. And in the same vein, our office isn't in the CBD of Auckland, so I'm not in and amongst the hustle and bustle. I'm not able to easily meet people for lunch and all that jazz because
Mm.
we're on the other side of the bridge. So Flint for me is all about that community, especially in amongst our lead team. We've got a core team of 8 this year, which is really exciting. And, we've got people from Chorus, from Cordia, we've got someone who's studying, we've got someone from Air New Zealand. It's a really diverse mix. And that means that while we're obviously meeting each other, we're also being integrated into each other's networks. So that whole wider circle, I've met people from a whole bunch of organizations I didn't even know existed through Flint, which is really exciting. And then obviously with the different teams around the country,
Mm.
Zibby and I would never have met if we
I
hadn't
know.
had Flint. And there's a whole lot of the lead team that probably share that sentiment as well. So
Mm.
the community, I think, is one of the biggest parts of it for me. Yeah.
Maybe it would be good for us to kind of cover. We've mentioned like the lead team quite a bit throughout this, so maybe like the structure of how it all works would be cool for people to hear about. So, um, how we run events, as Craig mentioned, the cool thing is it's the people that have grown up in the program or are wanting to attend the events that are actually putting the events on. So hopefully the content is relatable and relevant to what our demographic, new people to their careers are wanting to see. And each of our hubs in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and Queenstown have a core group of individuals that meet up monthly and actually plan what the events are going to look like, or the content or the community meetups that we're doing are actually going to look like. And then we put that out to our members and our guests, and then that's when they come along. And I guess like people that are in our lead teams are people that have been attending our events for a wee while and have taken an interest in the program. So I think that's a cool thing about Flint is we've got the backing of TUANZ, like Craig said, but actually the people doing the organising are people that want to be at those events as well.
And let's be honest, all those organizers, they want the t-shirt, right? So
Yeah.
there you go. That is one of the huge benefits of being on the lead team. You get the t-shirt.
Cool. So yeah, we've talked about a little bit about what Flint is, how the kind of lead team runs and that kind of thing. So the next thing I guess people might be wondering is about the name of Flint itself. So obviously, Flint is an acronym that stands for Future Leaders in Technology. And so Zibby, I'll throw this one to you first. Do you want to expand a little bit on what Flint means and potentially what people can get from it?
Yeah, I think Flint, as we've kind of mentioned or touched on a wee bit, we're looking at emerging leaders, but that doesn't mean someone who's going to be a manager, right? I guess an emerging leader is someone that's going to be um, get stuff done, someone who is wanting to, develop their skills in their career to maybe be like a subject matter expert or be able to influence within their organization. Um, and yeah, someone who's looking to build their professional network as well, because we know that people don't stay in the one job, so this really gives you that opportunity to learn about different things that are going on within the digital community, but not just digital. I guess we have companies that cover a whole range of um, areas. But yeah, I think early stages of your career, looking to network, looking to build on some skills, looking to find out what's going on in your space.
And Craig, from more of a mature perspective, when you're thinking about, helping future leaders come up, what kind of people are you seeing there?
That's a really good question, Caitlin, because when we set Flint up, we were very clear on the fact that it was going to be open to anybody and everybody. So it's an open community, and all you have to be is someone who's interested in New Zealand's digital future. So you might be in a tech company, or and doing a completely non-tech role, or you could be in a tech role in a different company. So we really do have a wide mixture of people that you're meeting, and we know in a small economy like ours, relationships are really important. So building a network, and doubly important these days when we went through a period where we weren't able to gather. So, that's quite an important thing to think about as well. Also, the other thing we did when we set it up is that we recognized that the future was going to be made up of people who reflected our economy and our culture and our people. And so, very strongly, initially, we were very much around we need to make sure that women are well represented in the leadership of the group, but also in the way we do things. So, for example, if we have an event with a panel, there
Mm,
must be a woman on the stage so that there's a balance. Um, would say looking at the Auckland lead team at the moment, they're actually maybe we need a few more men or males because it is a little bit there's a lot of women. And I did get asked that
well,
question yesterday, and I think that what that reflects is that there is definitely a passion amongst young women like yourselves to take your future into your own hands,
mm,
but also to help others and to ensure that people who are underrepresented in industry and industry roles are getting the opportunity to come through. And so I really think that's a real positive of the program. And so, encouraging more women, Maori, Pacifica, across the board, different cultural backgrounds, immigrants, all those sorts of things who sometimes struggle to find networks. I
mm,
think Flint is, as a community, is really important in that respect. And I think the other thing for people who get involved in Flint, whether it's just attending events or getting on the lead team, is it shows to their manager or their leaders in their organization their commitment to not only growing but helping others to grow as well. And
yeah,
so, for example, you might be working in a large corporate, um, and you are wanting to become a people leader, but you've never met the CEO or you've never met one of the senior leaders. You might come along to one of our events and they're there, they'll see you and you'll get to converse with them. So there are all those sorts of opportunities that pop up as well. And you can tell your manager that you're involved in this program. So I
mm.
really do think it's a great opportunity for people to be involved.
Agreed. I'm just going to chime in there because you made me think of something, Craig, when you were talking. And I think at the moment we might find organisations, not able to develop as much of their individuals that work there and put on, extra learning opportunities and that sort of thing. So I guess that's where Flint is really good because we can offer a selection of like professional development or leadership skills workshops or opportunities for you to actually invest in yourself without, having to rely on your organisation when it might not be possible to get put through that sort of traditional L&D at the moment. So yeah, so I think that's a really good thing to note as well.
Absolutely. And on that note, just to really drive the point home, Flint events are predominantly free. I won't say always free because there are the odd programs here and there that might have a cost associated. But for the most part, our events are free. We tend to do four in-person, more formal events each year in each of the regions. So that's 16 in-person events around the country. And then we also deliver quarterly-ish webinars. And of course, we've got the FLINT Talks podcast happening as well. And if you are a member of FLINT, you do sometimes get the added bonus of being able to attend some TUANZ events too, which is quite exciting. So I know that Zibby and I have been to a couple of the TUANZ conferences and things where we've been able to mix and mingle with professionals all across the technology industry. And then, of course, TUANZ have their own webinar series and their own in-person events that they run as well. So there's the potential that you can do even more if you do come and get involved. Plus, of course, TUANZ is an association made up of technology companies and other organizations in the tech space. So, by association of the association, you are being associated with a whole bunch of different organizations, which you can then, of course, find out about their events, find out about community things that they're doing. So, there is this enormous circle of expansion that you can be a part of if you join FLINT, even if it's just as on the mailing list and getting emails about our upcoming events and then, of the partners and so on and so forth from there. And that kind of segues us into our third kind of big question of how FLINT can actually help your career. So we've just talked a little bit about, the professional development opportunities that come from attending events, listening to the speakers, maybe taking part in some activities depending on what the event is. But I'll throw it back to Zibby maybe first, talking about how else being a part of FLINT can improve your career.
Yeah, I think in a variety of ways, but I think just definitely building that network, and also when you're at the early stage of your career, finding out what other people are doing and finding out what other jobs are potentially out there and hearing other people's stories because um, I think now we know that the world of your career isn't linear. So you're not just going to have that one job. So how cool is it if you can get in a room with a bunch of people and find out what is it they actually do and how did they get to where they're at? And that might sort of inspire you to move into something else. But yeah, I just think I love the community it creates. And also I think Craig mentioned before, if you're new to Wellington, like I've been new to this city, actually being able to meet some people that are in a similar position, it's a win-win really, it really can help you yeah, feel better, feel more comfortable as well.
I think Zibby's right, particularly around if you're new to an environment. So we've had people come from Flint and Christchurch who have finished university and come up to Auckland but not knowing anybody. So coming along to Flint because they're already aware of it was a real benefit to them. Built a network within their own organization even because they may even meet people they don't know within their organization that's at one of the Flint events. And so that's one of the ways. The other way is just by coming along and networking. You're learning skills on interacting with people. You're meeting senior people. So you're learning how to engage and interact with them. But it also opens you to opportunities because you get to see what else is around in the marketplace and what else other people are doing. So there's all sorts of benefits in that way. And I do think, if you're involved in the leadership team in particular, if you do end up volunteering for that, that is something that can go in your CV and in your on your LinkedIn profile. And we do things for those leaders like, invite them along to conferences where there might be one going on, where we want to encourage one of our leaders to pick it up or be engaged with senior leaders or come along to board meetings. So there are a wide range of opportunities I think you get by just simply being part of that community.
Also, like a thing that stands out for me is a few years ago is that through my involvement with Flint, I actually got an opportunity to do a micro credential through Academy X. So I loved that. It was an actual qualification that you can say that you've completed, and I wouldn't have known about that had I not been involved in the Flint community. So yeah, so it really does not just in that networking and building up your professional skills, you can actually get a qualification, and we've got a new partnership with Skills as well. So there's more of that going to be coming in the future too.
Absolutely, yeah. And on that note as well, I mean, we've done quite a few of the kind of meet a CXO, get to know a CXO events, and I think most of the teams around the country run those at least yearly. And one of the things that came out of those events for me, especially the very first one I went to before I joined the lead team per se, was realizing that what I do actually has so many different names in different organizations. And that realization has helped me when I'm searching for, best practices and things, because what I call it versus what someone else calls it might be completely different, but we're actually doing the same thing. And so from there, I've been able to identify similar roles, similar processes, and other people that I could, get to know, have a chat with about what I do. But they just have a completely different name to their role, and I would have never
Mm,
have known that, they were someone I could use as a resource previously. So even tiny little things like that can actually open your eyes up to a whole host of not just opportunities, but potential resources and people you can lean on.
And I think when we're first starting our careers, we think, even today, I think we still think it's quite linear, that's going to be in a certain direction, there will be no changes. But those of us that have been around a few years, and in roles that we would never have expected us to be in when we started our career. Your career takes all sorts of different shifts and changes. You take time off. You might do an OE. You might have children. There are all sorts of things that change the way you do things. You may decide you want a complete change of career, go and retrain, or you want to do something different. And so being involved with Flint, just like you talked about, Caitlin, people are doing different things or doing the same thing as you in different organizations under a different name. So
mm,
suddenly the world opens up because you suddenly realize, yes, I can do these things. And I think that's one of the other things that, I think is really important around Flint is in a way it boosts confidence. And we know that, to move up or move forward in a career, you need to be putting yourself forward for roles that you can do some or most of, but not all of, because otherwise it's not a career move. It's just simply changing jobs. And so
mm,
if you've got the confidence to think about, talk about who you are, think about leading small projects, maybe at Flint, you've done some speaking in front of a crowd, all those little things that you can pick up that build your confidence to be able to go, well, actually, that job is one I want. I can do half of it, but I'm going to be able to learn pretty quickly the rest. So I'm going to go for it, and
mm.
that's just a wonderful story to see.
Amazing. Cool. So now that we've kind of covered all of the things about what Flint is, Zibby, I might throw it over to you to give our listeners a rundown of what they can expect from the Flint teams around the country coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's super exciting. We all got together with our teams over the last few months of the year last year to get that planning done, because we want to have a jam-packed program of events that we can also show you ahead of time, so you know what to expect and when to expect it. Um, I guess one of the main things that came out of our planning from all of the teams is we want to create more of a community. So we have committed to doing, I guess, some more lower, less formal catch ups. So I know that a lot of the teams have already done that. So kicking off with coffees at lunchtime where you can just jump in and get to meet some cool people. We had our Wellington one last week and I got to meet a really interesting individual who is starting his own business. And, we got chatting and we've teed up another coffee and we're going to, see what comes of that and maybe look at doing some events together. So that's just kind of some of the stuff you can expect when you come to some of those events. But yeah, each of our regions have got their first events locked in. So Wellington are kicking off with, they've already had a coffee, but they're going to do some welcome drinks as well next week on Thursday, the 12th of March. And then after that, Wellington's next event is going to be on the 16th of April, and we're looking at, I guess, leadership skills and development, and we're going to be hosting that at Internet NZ. We've then got an event, Get to Know a CXO event with our Christchurch team at the end of the month. And then yeah, over to you, Caitlin, because you've locked in the Auckland event, which you've just confirmed as well. So I thought you could share what that is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we've got our Auckland event on Wednesday, the 8th of April, if I've got my dates correct. And we're going to be doing a bit of a panel discussion all about the different work environments you might end up in, especially in New Zealand. So we've got a very large startup culture here. And, a lot of our businesses are smaller. So we're going to be talking about the difference between working in a startup versus working in a large corporate. We've got some speakers that we're just finalizing who have worked in both, as well as some that have started their own businesses. And so we're going to be at the new One New Zealand offices in the Auckland CBD, which Craig and I went to an event there a couple of weeks ago, and they are awesome. Some great views and things from up the top there. So we're really excited to let everyone in the Flint community see the offices for one, but also have a really good chat about the different types of businesses you might find yourself working in, so you can kind of figure out which one might be a better fit for you in your career.
Awesome. Um, yeah, the schedules are looking jam-packed for all of the regions, which is awesome. We also have a commitment from each team that they're going to be hosting a webinar. So watch this space. Craig and I are going to be joined by one of our members who are up in Auckland, Nadine, and we're going to be hosting a webinar at the end of the month. So that will be released on our platforms then. And I guess on that note, just a plug for our LinkedIn platform, which is where we share all of our events and also via our newsletters. So get on to the Flint LinkedIn where we'll post everything. I know that each of our groups are already posting some calendars that are showcasing what they can expect throughout the year, and we're all contactable on those platforms as well, should you want any further information.
Absolutely. And to find out more about Flint, we do have a page on the TUANZ website. But if you do search Flint, FLINT, you'll see details of each of the lead teams, including the people who are the chairs and pictures of us and our names and who we work for, so you can get a little bit of a feel for who might be running some of your events. And then, yeah, you can join the mailing list there. I'm pretty sure there's a link to our LinkedIn page from there as well. And then you can also connect with all of us directly on LinkedIn if you are wanting to as well. And of course, reach out, organize a coffee like Zibby's doing with that person she's mentioned. And then we can really get to know you and welcome you into the community and hopefully see you at one of our events soon. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for jumping on this episode, the very first one of 2026, which is exciting. This is, or maybe year number 4 for the podcast now, which feels so long, but also it feels like it's been such a short amount of time. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what all the other teams are doing around the country, and of course, really excited to put on some events for the folks that are listening here up in Auckland. So Craig, I might throw it back to you for maybe the final word of the episode.
Oh, my final word is a word of encouragement to everybody to consider getting involved, and whether that's just simply signing up as part of the community, attending events, or even volunteering to be, one of the leaders. Getting value out of something only comes from what you put in. So really keen to see people becoming involved and thinking about their future career.
Awesome. Thanks to you both.
Thank
Ka kite.
you.